we're moving on to the Red Dead Redemption 2 review. Now,
God,
guys,
here we
I want to
go.
let those know who are listening, who are watching. Look, just be aware. If you have not been the game, do not continue. Do not listen. We're gonna do a quick
don't do it.
non-spoiler reaction real fast for you guys, and then I'll let you know when you need to dip out. So
Okay.
right off the bat,
Okay.
Austin,
Yes.
it's 2021. Red Dead
Yes.
Redemption 2 came out in 2018.
Yeah.
What? Without spoiling anything, how do you feel
Okay, I'll
about the
try.
game? How do you feel about the game? And do you recommend other people play it?
This game made me feel a way that I've never felt before from playing a video game. It really touched my soul. It really, like, I couldn't stop thinking about it. I still can't really stop thinking about it.
Yeah.
I would 100 million% recommend playing this game. I compare it to like reading a novel that everyone, like, I don't know, like everyone needs to read To Kill a Mockingbird, or everyone needs to play Red Dead Redemption 2. And I know it's long, but I promise you it is so worth it.
Yeah.
Because this game was incredible. That's my non-spoiler review.
For me personally, I 100% say anybody who has the ability to play this game, play this game. I've always stood firm in the fact that my favorite games of all time was Metal Gear Solid and the Last of Us series, and I can tell you without hesitation that Red Dead Redemption 2 has completely jumped to the top as one of my favorite games of all time.
Wow.
It really made that big of an impact. And when Austin said it made an impact in him, it made an impact in me as well. And it did a lot in the game that I didn't know that it would do. And story-wise was so complex, and characters were so thorough and well written and drawn out. And it was just this perfect marriage of a lot of different things coming together. So for those who are watching and listening, we're gonna get into spoilers, okay? In 3,
here we go.
2, 1. I think, Austin, the best place to start off in regards to Red Dead Redemption 2 is the ending. So
chapter 6.
Chapter 6.
Ending of chapter 6. Okay.
The ending of chapter 6 when Arthur Morgan's character dies. Now, I want to know real quick before we actually get to it. How did you play as Arthur Morgan? Where were you in regards to good or bad?
Sure. So every game that has this sort of virtue meter, I'm always the good guy. I want to be the hero. I'm a wholesome player. I was maxed out good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I personally was also doing the same thing as well. That doesn't mean I never did any bad things. There is one thing in particular. There's one moment in particular that I can actually define like I did something that I probably shouldn't have. But we'll get into that. We'll get into that later. But and lastly, I want to know how did you make your Arthur Morgan look? Because you can grow out his hair. You can do the facial hair. You can dress him up. And I really committed to the fact that I was like, this is how Arthur Morgan looks to me. This is how he acts. This is how he looks. This is how he dresses. What did yours look like?
So, for the beginning half of the game, and I'm not going to go into too much detail, healthy Arthur was, not much facial hair. I liked having a mustache. At some points, it was it was curled, handlebarred. When Arthur got diagnosed with tuberculosis in the game, which shook me to my core. I really felt this shift within Arthur's character. And I felt that he would kind of let go a little bit. And so by the end of chapter 6, my Arthur had the maxed out beard, longest your beard could get.
Okay.
And didn't have super long hair. I did keep my hair pretty short, but it also wasn't like clean cut, like faded. It was just kind of this short, messy hair and a big beard. Nice. So that's where my guy was at. And it really it really brought it home for me. It's
Yeah.
just because that's just how I felt like it would go. You know, he just looked old with that big beard. You know, he just looked decrepit, and obviously very skinny by the end of chapter 6. Really amazing how they did that. Just you can see it in his eyes, the bloodshot eyes, the patchy skin. You know, it was just really good. What did yours look like?
So for me personally, I just kind of I kept him to this place where Arthur was Roger Clark, who plays as Arthur.
Yeah.
What a phenomenal job in acting. Like,
I know.
He did such a great job. And the way that he would portray Arthur and the way that Arthur would hold himself, and Arthur would speak if he needed to speak. And then there'll be moments where Arthur would just like let out like a low like grunt or whatever.
Just go, sure.
Yeah, exactly. And so for me, my Arthur, I felt like he had a thick mustache. He had like some stubble from underneath, and his hair was like halfway parted on the left, but he always had his hat on. And so every time I got in a firefight, when I was done, I would go pick up my hat and put it back on. Like I felt like that was something that he would do, you know?
Which hat did you wear?
Arthur's hat. I honestly
Arthur's hat. Okay, great.
I just kept with Arthur's hat, and I did go and get different clothing, but I didn't. Sure. He's not this uptight, button up collar kind of guy. Like I got him something that just fit with his costume, and it just felt the same all the way around. You know?
Sure. Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I think in regards to the ending, we get to a point where so much has happened. And there's a turning point, and I say we're getting to the ending, but everything that we're going through is leading up to this ending.
That's fine.
There's a moment in the game that it shifts, and that's chapter 5. And chapter 5 is when you go to Guarma. And
that was a big shift.
I remember I played this game when it first came out. I just want to make that noted. I played this game when it first came out, but I was working a job that I would work really late in the night, and then I'll come home and I'll only be able to play like at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. The game is not mundane. I mean, not boring, but it is mundane at times. And it's supposed to be that way. So I legit dropped it, didn't play it for a while. And then when you mentioned you were playing it, I was like, let me jump back on. So you and me were practically playing side by side at the same time.
Yeah,
and so
almost.
I remember when I was like, bro, chapter 5, dude, get to that point. And how did you feel when you went? Because I thought we were going to be where we were at the whole time. When chapter 5 happened.
Me too.
When chapter 5 happened, were you shocked, dude?
Yes, I was. Because the game really changed. The whole I'm not mechanics, but the layout of the game, what you're used to, completely shifted because you shipwreck on Guarma, which is this fictional South American island or somewhere off
Cuba.
Cuba. Yeah, no. Yeah, that's right. It's Cuba. You don't really have your home base. You don't have a wardrobe. You don't have your weapons. You don't have anything. So it's almost like it becomes a survival game, and you're just trying to find any weapon. That came out of nowhere for me. I really was a big shock, and it really changed the way I thought about this game. I thought, okay, we're in, I believe the whole place is New Austin or New Hanover. I can't remember the name of the entire map. But it's like, okay, we're here in this fictional southern place.
Yes.
I'm never going to leave it.
Yeah.
But you completely go off the map for an entire chapter, and the game changes a ton, and the characters change a ton too. And I think that's when you see a really big shift of from Dutch, the gang leader. And you really start to see, this was post leaving, John Marston got arrested in Saint Denis.
Yep.
So you're already kind of a little weirded out by Dutch, but this is where you really see his true nature. He starts to really go off the rails in chapter 5, and that's sort of the beginning of the end, I think.
Yeah. And
it's chapter 5.
You pointed out so well because of the fact that there's this moment at the end of chapter 4 that this big thing's happening. You and the gang go, and you're going to go take out, and I forget his name. He was that Italian dude that was in Saint Denis.
Oh, I forgot his name. Yeah.
You go to take him out, and then you find out John Marston got taken. And
the whole bank robbery goes south, and like two big characters die.
Dude,
like Hosea dies, Lenny dies right afterwards.
Yes.
Lenny didn't even get a cutscene. I was so mad.
Exactly,
he didn't even get a cutscene. You just watched him get shot to death, and then John Marston gets arrested, and it's like the whole plan goes to absolute poop.
And I think that was what's so smart about that is the fact that when Hosea dies, that was the first time where I was playing the game and my mouth was like, I didn't think these guys were invincible. And I knew something was going to happen. I knew someone's got to die. I just didn't know when. Yeah. I didn't know how. I didn't know who. So when Hosea died, because it was always Dutch, Arthur, Hosea. It was them three. And when he dies, it was this moment I was like, oh my God. Like in my mind, I was like, Dutch, what the heck are you doing? And I got to say, I hated Dutch, but he was written so well. Oh my God. He was written so well. He was performed so well. Like
incredible.
It was what an incredible character that person is, Dutch. And that happens. And like you said, it's a cutscene. I'm able to kind of like put the controller down and just kind of think for a second. But Lenny wasn't a cutscene. And that's what I love about it, is the fact that it's like this real-time moment of like, oh my God, but I have to just keep running. And it felt so real, dude. It felt so real. So, go for it.
God, there's something about Dutch. I was gonna say something about Dutch, but I can't. Well, yeah. I mean, just to go a little further into like Dutch's character, he is the leader of the gang, and you know, you kind of understand where he's coming from.
Absolutely.
Because his job is to make sure that everyone in the game, everyone in his gang has hope, and that everyone feels like they're a part of something that's going to succeed. And he has to maintain that hope throughout the, but at the same time, he's starting to make decisions that are more so feeding into his own ego and his own, and so it's like, he's the big, I was sort of equating him near the end to like a cult leader, someone who wants to make everyone feel like they're a part of something bigger than themselves, but at the same time, they're feeding into their own ego. And that is what Dutch was. And it was written so well and it was performed so well. Oh man. Yeah.
And I loved whenever you'd be at the campsites and in the morning when you would wake up, Dutch would always be out there just giving this speech to everybody. Kind of like, and everyone's going about doing their jobs, doing their things. And Dutch is out there being like, trying to give them pep talks every morning. Mm-hmm. And so his character was so well done. And it was that thing of like, we got to see him start. And it was one of those things where in chapter 6, Arthur points this out. And it wasn't this thing of like, is he breaking down? But Arthur looked at it as if he's becoming more the person of who he actually is.
Exactly.
He was just suppressing it the whole time.
He's always been this way. Secretly deep down. And now it's coming out. Yeah.
And so there's that moment when the bank robbery goes south. You have to run away. John Marston gets caught. You as Arthur don't know exactly what happened because you left to kind of lead everyone away. And so you end up in Guarma. And like you said, that's when some of these main characters start falling apart. And this is the moment where, was it spoiled to you that Arthur got sick? Did you know about that?
It kind of was. It kind of was because I saw a TikTok. Friggin' TikTok.
Yeah.
And the only thing that was spoiled was his coughing. It was like there was like some sort of viral coughing TikTok audio that went viral, and it was like someone put it was like me in chapter 6 of Red Dead, and you just heard like tons of coughing, and like she has her controller and she's like, to each cough. And I was like, oh dang, like is Arthur gonna get sick? So yeah, that kind of, it sort of was spoiled.
Okay. It was spoiled to me that he died. I knew that. And two, there was that video that I sent you guys like a couple months ago that was like these super emotional scenes from video games. And there's that one poignant scene. And you're not hearing the audio. It's just going from scene to scene to scene from different games. And it's that scene of Arthur at the doctor's office. And he's just staring at the doctor when the doctor's telling him he has tuberculosis. And just by looking at that scene, I was like, I was like, I gotta play this game. And then two, I was like, there's something going on here. So and that scene is poignant because after Guarma happens, after Dutch kill somebody that he actually doesn't even need to, because his whole thing has been don't kill people that you don't need to kill. And that was the moment when he killed that old lady in Gorma. That's when Arthur was like, I'm sorry, what happened to all this? What
happened to our creed? Our code.
And so that's when things start falling apart, and you come back, and then it's that moment when you have to go meet up with Sadie in Saint Denis, and you're riding your horse back into town, and then boom, that cutscene happens, and he just overtaken, coughing, and then you go to the doctor's office. How did that scene hit for you, dude, when you went to the doctor's office?
Yeah, that came out of nowhere, and I love when they do that kind of stuff in video games. You know, for context, you know, you're in a big open world. You have the waypoint on your map to go to the next quest, and it's Sadie Adler, and you're riding into town, about to get to the bar, and Arthur just starts coughing and coughing out of nowhere, and it progresses, and then you realize you lose control of the game. You're like, okay, something's happening.
Yeah,
and he collapses, and I was like, this is it. This is bad. This is the beginning and the end of Arthur, you know? Yeah. And that's the scene and the dialogue was done so well in the doctor's office, because at that time there wasn't anything he could do.
No.
It was really like, you know, he looked at his throat, he took his vitals, he looked at everything, and the doctor was just silent. And he was like, well, what is it? You know? Yeah. And he's like, you have tuberculosis. Like, and there's nothing you can do about it. Like, I can give you this steroid thing, but like, sorry.
Yeah. And I think what's so crazy about that scene is the fact that we already spent 5 chapters with Arthur. We've gone through so much, done so much. And I think the whole theme of this game is the fact that you're this group of people that just wishes to hold on to the thing that you had for so long, and that's just being a part of the frontier, doing your own thing, being your old man,
being free.
Exactly, being free, but you're surrounded by a world that is advancing further than you, and that you no longer belong in this world, and you have to deal and you have to accept that. And it's that thing that Arthur always hold on to, that truth of like, I'm gonna help these people get to this. Like, we're working together to just have this one dream. And when that happened, in chapter 6, I was like, dude. It just that entire chapter was the darkest thing ever, because
it was very dark.
It wasn't like, oh, dude, I'm playing this game. This is the last chapter. I'm gonna go beat the last boss. I'm working away my way. No, it just was like, it was just kind of like this. You're watching Arthur just slowly die throughout the rest of chapter 6.
Yeah,
and so
and
so the rest of chapter 6 is you see Arthur change a lot as a character, and as a matter of fact, you see the way that he reacts to certain people. Kind of. It's as if he's trying to right his wrongs. And I loved that chapter 6 consisted so much between him and, oh my goodness, I can't believe I forgot his name. He was the chief.
Rain Falls? Or
Rain Falls.
Yeah.
And you spend time with him. Now, there's a moment when he spends time with him. And this is the first time the game ever does this. You go, you're hanging out with Rain Falls. Oh, got a little drippy drip there, didn't you?
Yeah, sorry. I spilled some LaCroix all over my... Sorry, keep going.
So we see Arthur, we go and we're with Rain Falls, and Rain Falls is like, hey, come with me, and you're talking with them. And this is the first time in the entire game where it allows you to prompt what to talk about.
Yes, Ooh, I remember this,
And so I forgot what were the two options, but all I knew was that one, I had to choose. I had a wife and son, because everything about Arthur's past has been so clouded, and I honestly was a little confused as to what happened to his past, because he doesn't talk about it, and so he talks about that past, and I think this is one of the moments in the game where I actually started choking up, because it's one of those things where you're like, Arthur knows I'm gonna die soon. I don't know this man at all, but I get this automatic feeling that I can trust him, and I'm just going to tell him. Yeah. I'm going to tell him my story, because there's no one else out there that I feel like I can tell. And it just hit so hard.
Yeah. Rain Falls.
So in that area, did you choose the same option as well of telling him about your... Okay.
Yeah. So that whole mission, I believe the mission, Rain Falls, there's a specific, ceremonial place he needs to go up to on the mountain, and Arthur goes with him, and he's like, along the way I can get you some stuff for your tuberculosis or whatever. And so it's a slow moving mission where you're just going up this mountain with this Native American chief, and he's just imparting wisdom. And I chose the same conversation route or path. I was like, okay, I want to know about what happened to his son and his wife. And it was it's a tragic story. Essentially, he goes out to do something, and he returns and he finds them both, that they both were, they both died. They were both murdered by another gang, I guess. And that it's so interesting that they put that detail in an optional conversation. It seems like that would have been a cutscene, but it was like, no, like, you choose whether or not you want to hear the story, and it reveals so much about Arthur's character. And I think that's why he's so rough in the beginning. He very much so is just jaded by life, and he's just like, I just want, I don't want much anymore. And I also think, and this isn't my own, I heard this from somewhere, but it a lot of the frustration with John Marston, because in the beginning, John Marston had been gone. You find John Marston after him left the gang for a year. So Arthur and John Marston were butting heads a lot because Arthur's frustrated John Marston for abandoning his family. And I think a lot of that frustration comes from Arthur's own past. So it reveals so much about not only Arthur Morgan, but the relationship between him and John Marston. And so, it was very cool. It was very good.
And by learning that story beat, it actually plays so well into the end of chapter 6. And so, at the end of chapter 6, you're experiencing people from the group leaving. You're experiencing people are dying because Duchess is becoming more crazier and crazier and is actually putting more lives at risk at times. And there's moments where you get close to the end, and it's this build up, man. It's like Duchess is utilizing the chief's son in his favor to help him get money, but making the son feel like he's actually helping him. The son dies, and there's that scene where all of y'all are going down to the refinery, and you're down there. You take everyone out. You're with Dutch. You go get the money, and as you're leaving, there's that moment where like that gas bursts, and it's that wall between you and Dutch, and these guys and actually Arthur's on the floor, like he's blinded by it, and these guys start running in, and Arthur looks, and you just see Dutch walk out, and
Dutch just leaves him.
Dude, and man, that moment I was like, God, forget you, Dutch. Forget you, man.
So mad.
I had this feeling. I was like, there's a chance that you can be good, but that didn't do it. And it was the chief's son that came in and saved Arthur's life, and in the end, actually dying because of Dutch's being completely just not caring at all.
No, he didn't care. I mean, he saw Arthur as a threat near the end because Arthur was calling him out. And I think at that moment when he saw that Arthur was probably going to get taken, shot, killed, whatever, he was like, I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity and I'm going to get him off my list without having to kill him.
Exactly.
Because he's starting to undermine me and I don't like it.
Exactly.
Ooh, that was a good moment.
Yeah. And so then you take the chief's son to the chief, and it's that moment of like, I'm going to go back and I'm going to confront Dutch. And you learn some information that, you thought that when the people were called to raid everybody at the end of chapter 4 was actually Dutch's wife. It wasn't true. It was actually Micah, who is this very important character in the entire story that you are hating the entire time. You knew he was a bad guy. You knew he was a bad guy, but again, written so well. This game was written very, very well, and his character was written so well. And so when you find out this news of like Mike was the one who actually did it, he's been kind of behind all this. He's leading Dutch in this other way, and so you confront, and then it's this moment of where it's you having guns pointed at Dutch and Micah.
Standoff.
And Micah has both of his guns pointed at you, and then Dutch has his guns pointed at Arthur and Micah, and it's a standoff. And then out of nowhere, John Marston walks in, and
Yeah.
you think
Oh,
John
man.
Marston's dead because you had this this bout with a train to actually go steal some money. John Marston
Yeah.
gets shot off the train, and then
Yeah.
Dutch is like, "I'll go get him." I knew he
Yeah.
wasn't going to.
No,
I knew.
I was like, that's BS. Yeah.
you're not telling the truth, bro.
There's a whole other backstory there too, but we could talk about this game forever.
Yeah, I don't want to go. I don't want to
many.
go forever. You can go forever.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
You know, and later you find out Dutch is like, he didn't make it, and I knew you're lying. There's something else going on here. So when you're in that stand up, and John Marston walks up, his shoulders shot out, and he's like screaming at Dutch like, "You left me behind there." Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
It's culminating. The tension is rising, and then all of a sudden, a third party comes in and is trying to take everybody out. So you, as Arthur and John Marston, start running away, and you're playing in this segment. You're running through the cave, and you go up into the mountains, and there's that poignant moment when Arthur turns around and he's like, "Take this. Here's the key. The money is back there. Make sure you come back and get it. Run. I'll hold them off." And John's like, "No, dude. What? You're crazy.
I'm not leaving you.
I'm not leaving you." And
Yeah.
Arthur the entire time, and as Austin said, all of chapter 6, he's getting sicker and sicker and sicker. His eyes are getting redder and redder. He's getting paler as the time goes on. He's getting sicker. And at this moment, you can just tell he's broken down. And he's just like, just go for your wife and your kid.
Yeah.
And
be a man. Man up and go to your family.
That's what he says.
I love that.
Be a man. And I love that because it lends so well to the fact that that's why Arthur was so pushy on John when he was like, when the moment comes, leave. Because Arthur didn't get that opportunity with his wife and his son. And so he wanted to give John the ability to do that because he had a wife and son. And I love there's that small connection a bit earlier between Arthur and Sadie, where he's like, "Sadie, promise me anything, just make sure that they get out of here." And so there's that moment. John looks at him and he's like, "You're my brother, Arthur." And Arthur's like, "I know." And then he leaves, and it's that final fight that you're shooting people from the mountain, and Micah comes out of nowhere, and you're fighting Micah. And then it gets brutal, it gets gruesome, and it transitions into the cutscene where Micah's about to shoot Arthur. Well, actually, there's different endings because there's a moment where you can choose: do you go back and get the money, or do you stay and help John Marston fend the people off? And so, what ending did you choose?
Oh, I mean, I chose to stick with John Marston for sure.
Okay, same. Yeah. So we both experienced the same ending. When you have when you choose that ending and you have full good, then you get the definitive ending. So at this moment, you feel like you're about to die by the hands of Micah, and Dutch comes out, and Arthur's on the floor, dude, beat up, can barely talk, and he's practically trying to convince Dutch, like, look what he's doing. Do you like after everything I've done?
He's a rat.
Yeah, after everything I've done for you, like, what are you gonna do? And it's that moment where Mike is trying to convince him, like, come on, we need to go. And then Dutch just turns around and leaves.
He just leaves both of them.
Yeah. And so then it's just you as Arthur, and you're crawling through the canyon real quick to get to like the edge of the mountain, looking at the sunrise. And that's when it ends. And I remember it was, I'm not even kidding, dude. It was 3:00 in the morning. I had my controller sitting down, and I was sitting back, and I just was like, what? Like, it wasn't a happy ending. It was such like I didn't even get to say goodbye kind of ending, you know?
I know.
How did you feel with that ending, dude?
I felt very it felt so sudden, and it didn't I feel like it's like I left a friend just like not on great terms. I was like, I didn't even get to say goodbye, like, because you spend like 30 40 hour, depending on how much you do, you spend so much time with this character just doing all sorts of stuff, and it's like all of a sudden he's gone and you can't play as him anymore. And and he was such a great guy, but yet this is his death. Yeah, it was very hard for me to. It was hard to watch.
Yeah,
it was
totally.
very rough.
Totally. And after that cutscene, we're introduced to Epilogue 1 and 2, where for the rest of the remaining of the game, you play as John Marsden, which is practically setting everything up for the original Red Dead Redemption 1. Not to get into too much details of Epilogue 1, because it's literally, you to an extent, you can kind of say it's like a sim. You're just doing these activities with them. Practically. You're doing these activities with them to kind of get everything set up for the first game. And so the only one thing that I want to hit on, though, is you get a moment to go back and kill Micah once and for all with Sadie and Charles. And so that entire moment, just tell me, what did you think of that entire ending? That is the definitive ending, like, of the entire game. You finish this off, that one mission, you go to Micah and Dutch is also there. Like, what were your emotions with that? Yeah,
that all took me by surprise. That wasn't spoiled for me, thank goodness. Yeah. You end up tracking down Dutch, and you're at that standoff with him, and like you just said, or you're at a standoff with Micah, and then all of a sudden Dutch bursts out of the cabin with a full beard, years past, and you're like, what? And so I thought, God, I didn't know it was gonna happen, because I'm like, I know John lives because I played as him in the first one.
Yeah,
he's not dying. I had no idea what was gonna happen, and for this final move by Dutch, he makes the right decision.
Yeah.
And I think he truly saw the evil in Micah.
Yeah.
And saw that John was just trying to do good. He had a family. And I think at that point he made the call of, like, John needs to live, and Micah's got to die. I don't even really trust Micah. So Dutch just straight up in the standoff just shoots Micah, and took me completely by surprise, and it was great. And then of course there's this great part where it goes into full on Deadeye.
Yes,
and
dude.
You get to just unload on Micah. You shoot him so many times, and it is very satisfying, because Micah is just the worst character.
Yeah.
I thought that sequence, that ending was very good, very well done. And Dutch again just kind of walks off. Just like, I'm leaving. I don't, he didn't even say, like, John, you were always good, and I should. It was just like, I still don't like you. I'm still just, I'm going to separate and remove myself from this. And that was the end of Dutch. Great ending.
I 100% agree. It was so well done, so well acted. It's that fact that John Marsden brings up Arthur, and it's practically like kind of the last time that he brings him up, because I do love that John took Arthur's journal, so he has read all of it. He knows everything about Arthur. Like, he's kept that with him. And so he talks about Arthur in that last moment, and you can tell something clicks in Dutch's mind. And he's like, this is for Arthur. Like, this is the least that I can do with my life. And so, I love the fact that you get to unload on him. I went crazy on that fool. I wanted to make sure that he was dead. But that was the end of the game, setting everything up for Red Dead Redemption 1. Other than that, Austin, just any final words in regards to Red Dead Redemption 2? Anything else you want to say in regards to gameplay, just to end this entire segment off?
To end this segment off, as I said, I'm just going to restate what I said in the beginning. This game impacted me unlike any other game has, and I think that everyone needs to play it and go through it their own way. I
will say, to just end this off, that, guys, Red Dead Redemption 2 is an utter masterpiece, and I will say, do not just rush through it. Take your time, enjoy it. Like, the game is so beautifully done to where you're going from one place to another place, and then you will get sidetracked because another story is happening somewhere else, and you would just get pulled away. And the ability and the activities that you can do in this game is, like, I know I didn't even get to do everything. Like, the things that you can hunt, you can fish, you can craft, you can do. There's so
Yeah.
many things that you can do in this game that
So
are
much.
amazing. And it is a fun game through and through. The only problem I have is that there was a couple glitches, but that was interacting with
Oh,
things.
really?
But those
Yeah.
were literally far and few between. That with how great this entire game as a whole is, just completely overshadows that as a whole. So
Yeah.
again, Red Dead Redemption 2, guys, you have the chance, play it. I loved it. Austin loved it. Well, guys, that's the end of the XP podcast. Thanks for joining us here on this week's level 18. If you guys enjoyed it, those who are listening on podcast services, make sure that you follow the podcast service and rate the podcast on the service that you're using. That way people can find this show whenever they're searching up things like gaming. And those who are watching on YouTube, make sure that you like, subscribe, and hit the bell. And in the comments, let us know what you thought about the show. Until next time, guys, that's me, Rob. That's Austin. We'll see you all in 2 weeks. Peace out.